welcome to the fourth episode of Dynasty Kings.
Good.
We are going to wrap up week two. Lots of interesting things happen. Mike and I are going to break it all down. We're going to tell you who you want to buy, who you want to sell, some waiver wire guys, and just talk about a lot of the things that are currently going on and whether they're sustainable. So we got a lot of receivers that we're looking at and thinking, hey, is this guy really top 25? Is he an anomaly? Is this going to continue or what? Mike, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. My leagues are looking okay. My endless leagues, I think I'm like 7-1 in my endless leagues. In my home leagues, I'm like 2-5.
Looks like you're fighting the sun over there.
I am, dude. I'm at the equator. It's that time of day when the sun you can't hide from it at certain times of the day. This is one of them.
Hey, I know about the sun, man. Sometimes you got to fight it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started. What's our first topic we got here, Mike?
Have you seen George Kittle anywhere?
No, man. That whole 49ers team is just a complex fantasy situation. That's the way I would word that. What? I just don't understand. I can't say that I've ever been mad at a head coach that's not a Titans head coach until this year. This is the first year I've actually been angry with a coach that's not my favorite team's coach, and that's Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, whichever one. Help me out here.
Okay.
And,
it's Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, and it's been a day, guys. Anyways, Kyle Shanahan has pissed me off, and I'm going to go on record saying that. We're talking about George Kittle. I don't know where he's been. I don't know where Ayuk's been. I know Trey Sermon's been riding the pine. So, I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say about George Kittle. I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be a guy who pops up. He seems like a good buy low for me, but at the same time, I really don't know what to think of the whole I just don't know what to think of the whole 49ers offense in general. They're doing things they don't normally do. George Kittle's usually a stud. Mostert's usually there, but he gets injured, and then number two steps up. They just draft a guy. He's not playing. Ayuk's not doing a whole lot. Trent Sherfield's been getting higher snap count. So it's just a lot of weird things going on. What are your thoughts on George?
Yeah, it's a buy low. I don't even know what a buy low really is for George Kittle. Like, you can't get him for a first. You probably get him for more than that. But, yeah, I mean, the dude's just elite talent. And this goes towards you want to bet on your elite talent type guys. So
I think my favorite thing about this banner is Mike loves to roast me for misspelling stuff, and he's got George Kittle on here.
Oh, God.
Loves to roast me for misspelling names. But so here we are. We're looking at George Kittle, straight from Mississippi.
I fixed it.
Well, I think we're probably ready to move on from George. I think he's a good buy low.
Okay.
I don't know what you're going to get him for. But again, so when it comes to studs, consistent studs, we're not talking about a one-year anomaly. George Kittle's produced time in, time again. And so that's a guy that I have faith he's going to do the same thing. It's just going to take some time. We're talking about 2 weeks, guys.
Philadelphia's defense actually looks like they're pretty good so far this year.
Yeah.
Usually pretty bad, but I don't even know who their playmakers are, honestly, besides Darius Slay. But they actually look like their defense is pretty solid this year.
Yeah, they have been pretty good. And that was go ahead.
So I believe they're bottom 2 in the league last year against tight ends, but that's not the case this year.
It doesn't seem. Again, though, we're only 2 weeks in, so
right.
That's the whole point of this conversation. Are these things? I guess are they things that we actually believe, or is it just an anomaly? Like, is George Kittle not actually good this year? I don't think that's the case. We're talking about 2 weeks in. But you bring up a good point, though. You talk about that Eagles defense, and I think, do we have the running back situation next? This would be a good segue.
No, we have Debo Samuel.
We got Debo. All right,
Yep.
Well, let's go ahead with Debo, then. That's fine. Let's see, wide receiver 3 right now. Wide receiver 3 overall, Debo Samuel. He's got to stay healthy, but do you think that's sustainable, Mike?
Yeah, I do. Debo's always been a stud when he's healthy, which he is right now. So I have I'm starting him in all my lineups. I'm not thinking twice about it. I'm putting him in. I'm setting and forgetting. He's that talented, especially while I use in the doghouse. Debo should keep being fed, and he's just absolutely a top 15 option for me until Ayuk is actually back in full.
So let me ask you this: you said wide receiver 3 is sustainable, and then you said top 15. So
I thought you meant sustainable, like his production. Like, if he's getting targets, he's getting the yards.
Yeah.
That's right.
I guess the question is, do you think wide receiver 3 is sustainable?
No, I don't.
Top 15.
Hey, top 15 for sure. It's just
Yeah.
it's too early in the season. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
this
I
should
agree
just
with that.
this should just be how the dominoes fall. Like some guys have heavy matchups the first 2 weeks.
So, do they have are they so basically is Ayuk going to be irrelevant enough for Debo to be a top 15 wide receiver and George Kittle be a top 5 tight end? Do you think that's
You know
possible?
what? Yeah, one of them's got to suffer, don't they? Out of the three, like one of them's
Yeah.
got to fall off. Especially when Jimmy Garoppolo is the quarterback here. Like let's just
Yeah.
assume
Well,
Jimmy G is the quarterback the whole year. So just assuming. Well, one of these three guys has to not be productive. Even two of the three guys have to not be productive. So Ayuk didn't really get that chemistry with Jimmy G last year. So this really could be a Debo year.
yeah, I don't totally disagree. I'm a big sample size guy, so I wish we had more a larger sample size for Debo, but he has been good when he's on the field. And so it's hard to argue against that. I think that he could be. I also think he can sustain top 15, but I think Ayuk suffers at that. And with that said, then I think that George Kittle, it's going to be George Kittle or Ayuk suffering. And which one do you think is going to be the one that suffers, that takes the biggest hit from Debo's production?
So far, it's Ayuk. So I'm going to keep
Kittle's
going there.
nowhere too, but okay,
Right.
that's fair. Debo's sustainable. We both think Ayuk. I mean, Ayuk has to improve. Like he's not going to stay as horrendous as he's been.
No, I don't understand it. I think I saw someone release a statement today. I haven't looked at it online. It's kind of been
Yeah.
everywhere, but I'm going to go back to look at that. So let's roll right into the backfield for the same team for now running back core.
Oh my gosh! All right,
You want
Yeah, I'll get this one started.
okay?
So anybody who's followed me all offseason knows that I'm a big Trey Sermon guy. He's a guy that I liked as a prospect. I thought he looked good in preseason. I thought he looked good in the offseason. He ran with the ones and twos all summer. And then Elijah Mitchell emerges as the second back in that backfield in week 1. Thought it was weird. Thought it was situational, right? I thought it was because he didn't play special teams. Well, here we are in week 2, and Elijah Mitchell and Trey Sermon are both active. And Elijah Mitchell gets, 60% of the carries with Hasty working in.
He gets Trey Sermon doesn't touch the field until Elijah Mitchell leaves the game.
Right. So and when that happens, so this is a little bit argumentative. It shouldn't be because it's stupid. But a lot of people are saying, okay, Trey Sermon touched the ball one time, and he fumbled. Okay, and yes, technically the ball came loose. However, it was because of a legal hit. He got an elbow to the head, helmet to helmet, and then he landed on his head. So dude was concussed, knocked out. No longer conscious. When you're not conscious, you can't expect a guy to hold on to the ball, right? That seems pretty asinine. And it is asinine. So that blew my mind that people were saying, well, that's his last touch he's ever going to get. And it's like, no, it shouldn't be. But it's a Shanahan again. And so with all these injuries, it seems like he's going to have to get that chance, right? Like he's got to get the chance, assuming he's healthy enough to play. And if he gets a chance, I still think he's gonna do well. I was also thinking too, maybe it was a situational thing where Trey Lance and Justin Fields run a similar offense, right? That they did in college, a spread offense.
Right.
So maybe that's what Shanahan's waiting on, waiting for Lance to get that start, and then he wants to start getting Trey Sermon in there, and that's where Trey Sermon succeeded in the spread offense. Oklahoma didn't run the spread offense. So, I mean, you could call that looking into the weeds, and it certainly is, but that was part of my deep dive I did a long time ago. So it's not something I just made up on the spot. That's something I thought about a while ago. Maybe that's the case. Maybe it's not. It's Shanahan. I hope he gets an opportunity, but right now, I mean, it's Elijah Mitchell's backfield. Whether I like that or agree with it, it doesn't matter. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Still want Trey Sermon to get his chance, but without Elijah Mitchell being injured, it's not happening. So we'll see what happens in week 3. I'm following all the injury statuses. Looks like Hasty's going to be out for a few weeks. I know San Fran's actually bringing in some guys for tryouts, so there's no telling what's going to happen there. It's still muddy. It's just not a backfield I'm too comfortable starting anybody in.
Right. I said this last week. I'm gonna say it again too. Jeff Wilson comes back week 6, and everybody keeps getting hurt on this roster. Like Jeff Wilson should be on your roster by now because he's going to get his playing time. He can get his turn. He has the coaching staff confidence. And Trey Sermon right now, like he's concussed. It's not really his fault that he's concussed, but he's losing that opportunity to shine, and it's gonna get a little more cloudy once Jeff Wilson comes back too.
Yep. I'm not quite ready to let the Sermon thing go. I want to see the opportunity, but obviously they don't prefer him, so we can leave it at that, and we'll revisit when he gets that opportunity. If he doesn't win, I'm out on him. I'll take the L, but still want to see the chance.
Are you holding on to him for redraft leagues?
Yes, I am. Yeah,
Okay.
I still am. Okay. I have him in Dynasty and redraft. I've actually tried to trade for him again. So nice. I really do still have faith. It really comes down to Shanahan that's now my biggest issue. It just doesn't make sense with Ayuk, Sermon. Just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Okay. We're going to move on here. We're going to move on to the wide receiver 5 right now is Mike Williams of the Los Angeles Chargers. So Mike Williams right now is just on fire. Do you think this is sustainable, Jake?
I do. Not wide receiver 5. I think I think this goes another top 20. I'll say top 20 is where I'm comfortable having Mike Williams. Okay. Maybe a little bit higher. But here's an interesting stat I actually wanted to pull up. Shout out to Hayden Winks. I think any other nerd on Twitter probably knows who he is. But so Mike Williams is in a completely new role this year, and we knew that with the offensive coordinator change there. But his 6 targets per game in 2018 were 17.8 average depth of target, deep ball. 2019, 6 targets per game for an average of 14.6 average depth of target. Another pretty deep ball, 14 yards. 2020 should read 21. 11 targets per game, 9.3 average depth of target. So they shaved 5 yards off his average depth of target. He's in a different role. He's running more slants, more comebacks. He's just not going deep as often. So he's in a new role, and I think that's part of his success. And let's not forget Mike Williams was an absolute stud coming out of college. He was a guy that was drafted super high, kind of like Corey Davis. They both really weird, actually, because Corey Davis and Mike Williams both took a long time to pop. I mean, here we are, and Mike Williams is looking like the guy. Corey Davis looks like the guy. What do you make of it?
Yeah, it seems to be a trend now that every year there's one late breakout. Devontae Parker, Corey Davis. This year looks like it's Mike Williams. But I love that you point out the average at the target because he was used as just a deep threat, and he would go up for these balls. And I'm talking about this dude can fly, but he just didn't know how to land, and he would just land on his back and get hurt. And I think the new coaching staff is trying to mitigate that risk and give him those slant routes, those easy routes where he doesn't have to keep on getting contested catches. And I just think he's absolutely shining.
Yeah.
He's killing it. Yeah.
It's been a guy that I've been hesitant on. I was high on him year 1, and then he has not done anything since. So I was ready to fade him. And I know last week, a couple people asked me, and I knew he was in a new offense, so I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm ready to commit to him. I really think I am. After 2 weeks, we see a guy who's in it. Now, if this was the same offense, I'd say let's pump the brakes. We're talking about a new offense here, so I am ready to say I think Mike Williams is going to be a top receiver this year, top 20.
Okay, I like that. I can get behind that too. And I just want to highlight this too because he was a hot topic all season to debate, and I wasn't in on him. Just for his last 4-year history or 3-year history, but the coaching staff or the team denied to extend his contract, so he's a free agent after this year. They've not extended his 5th-year option. So.
Yeah, those NFL players love to produce on those contract years. Turns out.
Yeah.
But right. I think it's more of I think that's more of the product of just being a new offense rather than motivation.
Okay. All right. We're you ready to move on?
Oh yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the Ravens wide receiver core here.
Let me start this one. All right. Okay. So I like Lamar Jackson. I had a few spills in the preseason where I said, I think the Ravens are going to throw more, right? So they are throwing more, but let's also keep in mind that they just lost Gus Edwards. They lost J.K. Dobbins. So would they have thrown more? I think so still, but that definitely plays a role into it. So let's keep this in mind, though. So Marquise Brown is – what is he? I know I've got it wrote down here.
Oh, I did not write it down.
No, I've got it. Marquise Brown is the wide receiver 8 through 2 games. I hate that. So Mark Andrews is still there. Sammy Watkins is there. And Rashad Bateman is going to be there. Rashad Bateman's a first-round pick. He looked great. He's a phenomenal player. I have him in 75% of all of my leagues. Love Rashad Bateman. I think he's going to be a stud. And again, this goes back to that. I think that Lamar Jackson's going to air the ball out more this year. Good coaches scheme for the talent that they have, right? And when your best receiver is Marquise Brown, you're probably not going to throw the ball a ton. Now, when you have so I said best receiver. I know Mark Andrews there as pass catcher, but wide receiver. So now they got Sammy Watkins, Rashad Bateman, Tylan Wallace, and Marquise Brown. That's a much better wide receiver core, and you're going to throw more. So what happens whenever Rashad Bateman gets back? I think he becomes the number one guy. Marquise Brown is still going to benefit from that, but he's not going to be getting as many targets with Rashad there. Rashad's going to lead that team in targets 100%.
Okay.
Maybe not over Mark Andrews.
I like Marquise Brown here. I think Marquise Brown is the wide receiver too. I think he's always been a wide receiver too. It's kind of a situation like Corey Davis or Juju Smith-Schuster, where those guys only excel when they are the second option on the team. And I think Sammy Watkins is probably taking the top coverage as like the deep threat. That's giving Marquise Brown more room to operate underneath. And when Rashad Bateman comes back, I don't really think it's going to change too much. So I am in on Marquise Brown being fantasy relevant. He's not going to keep these numbers up, but I think he's going to stay within the wide receiver 3 threshold.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. But wide receiver 8, absolutely not. We're talking 8 overall. No. There's no way that's happening, especially with Rashad back. So let me ask you this: whenever they get back, what do you expect their wide receiver sets to look like? Do you think it's Rashad Bateman, Sammy Watkins, Rashad Bateman, Marquise Brown? Like, we'll say 2 wide receiver sets.
I think it's going to be Bateman and Brown, and then Watkins is number 3.
Okay.
So
definitely plays a role.
But I do think it could be a more even split though for targets. I think Lamar is more of a veteran now that he doesn't really just do the first read, and he definitely has the ability to extend the play with his legs. Oh, so 100%. I do think it's going to be more of an even target distribution between the 3 guys, and that will definitely limit all of their upside.
I still think Rashad leads. I think he's the best playmaker, best hands. But your argument is valid. I'm not saying it's not.
Right. I got
Marquise Brown has the talent. Sammy Watkins has the experience and the talent. So, makes sense.
Yeah. So we'll find out soon.
Yes, we will.
All right.
You know what's funny, though? Rashad Bateman, there's been no news on him. Zero news.
He's just hurt. I think there's just nothing.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you get a timetable, something. You know, I know he's expected to miss at least 3 games when he's on IR, but we haven't heard any update.
Oh, I thought it was 4 to 6 weeks.
Is it 4 to 6? I thought it was.
That's what I heard.
Okay. Well, 4 to 6 is the injury, but that occurred in preseason. 3 is the minimal for IR. Pretty sure.
Okay. Well, I mean, okay. So he'll be back soon.
If we had no viewers, I'm sure somebody could correct us. I don't know if our one viewer knows.
Right. All right, let's talk about Brandon Cooks here. Highly doubted by myself. I am one of the doubters out there. Because I, just like everybody else on Twitter, I wanted to point out Brandon Cooks' history of quarterbacks was like Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Jared Goff. You know, he's always had a solid quarterback throwing to him. And he's always been like not even the number 1 option on the team, but produced really highly well. You know, he's like the number 2 option, like just like Marquise Brown, Corey Davis, productive number 2s in the league, Juju Smith-Schuster. So to me, I faded Brandon Cooks at the start of the year. I own actually a few shares of him, but that's from prior rosters. So where do you see him going forward, Jake?
So he finished, or not finished. He's currently wide receiver 11. You know, I don't want to say I love Brandon Cooks, but I believe Brandon Cooks is the most disrespected wide receiver in the NFL. He's put up 4, or is it 6? It's something absurd. 6 1,000-yard seasons, or 4 or 5. It's something absurd, right? I think Mike Evans is the only person who has more in that time frame. And so we have a guy who consistently puts up, and to your argument, I would actually counter. It's actually great that he's doing that with different quarterbacks. Tyrod Taylor, like I can understand that argument, but they have rookie Nico Collins. They traded Randall Cobb, so it's just Brandon Cooks is the man there. He always has been. They're going to be playing from behind. I think Brandon Cooks finishes as a wide receiver too, so we're talking top 24. Um, I'm comfortable saying top 20. They're playing from behind a lot. He's the guy who's going to be getting the ball. I mean, they're going to force targets to him playing from behind. Granted, they did beat the Jaguars week one. That was kind of shocking. But
Yeah, but Tyrod's hurt right now. So do you still seem to keep up this production with Davis Mills
yeah,
at
I'm
the
not
helm?
worried about what quarterback's there. I think he's good. I don't. Same argument I had in the preseason. I'm not worried about it.
I'm still stuck on it, dude. With Davis Mills, and now I'm stuck on like Brandon Cooks is not good again.
So you think
So
his 1,000-yard seasons? You don't think they're an anomaly. You just think that they were a product of good quarterbacks.
yeah, and being the number 2 on the roster.
Being a number 2 and putting up 1,000-yard seasons isn't impressive to you.
No, it is impressive. It's just now he's number 1. I don't expect him to be as successful as he used to be. If you look at like Matt Harmon's reception perception, he's not a route runner either. He's only successful on his go routes for the most part.
I'd
And
have
like
to
flats.
see. I want to go back and look and see who the wide receiver ones were because I can't argue it right now off the top of my head.
DeAndre Hopkins, he was the one for the Patriots. I'll say that. It wasn't supposed to be, but he was. And then for the Rams, it was Brandon Cooks and Cooper Kupp, and he was there too as number 3. And then he was number 2 to Michael Thomas.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he started off with the Saints.
So last year he was the number 1 without Will Fuller.
No. Oh,
Yeah.
yes,
DeAndre was gone.
yes,
So
yes,
we've got one
okay.
example.
Yeah, for
Okay.
6 weeks there at the end. Yeah,
Yep.
with an insane quarterback play. You don't want to say it.
We can say whatever. You know how I feel. I know how you feel. I like Brandon Cooks. Think he's a top 24 receiver this year.
Right.
You don't. We'll discuss next week. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so let's get to the next topic here. I actually added this one in before you got on the show, so I wanted to talk about Sterling
Oh,
Shepard,
I
wide
missed
receiver
this one.
9.
Yeah.
I'll start. I
Okay.
like Sterling Shepard. I've always thought he was a good talent, and again, he's one of those number 2s that are successful when there's. Well, actually, no. I'm sorry. Let me start this. Sterling Shepard is a talented wide receiver, and I think he's good. Now, I know he's a volume guy though. He needs volume to stay relevant. And right now, Kenny Galladay is in the doghouse, or he doesn't have synergy, whatever. He's just not the guy at the moment. That's a clear cut thing. And Evan Ingram is out too, so he's not soaking up those targets. Saquon Barkley wasn't really too active week 1, more active week 2. So for me, I do think Sterling Shepard is the real deal as long as Evan Ingram doesn't play and Kenny G doesn't step up. So I guess I'm riding the hot hand, but he's not gonna stay the hot hand.
So you don't think Saquon Barkley's going to eat into that role at all, getting some more catches as he increases his snap share?
Do you know how many targets he got this last game off the top of your head?
Mm-mm.
I'll look it up while you say your opinion.
I'm just not super high on Sterling. So when it comes to wide receivers who start having breakout years late, I start wondering what's changed, right? And so Kenny Galladay is there. That's the only big change that I see. Kadarius Toney, but I don't consider him anything as far as fantasy and NFL production. I'm not on Sterling, or I'm not on Kadarius Toney at all. But so here's the thing: Sterling Shepard's been in the league since 2016. So we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is his 6th year, right? So if he does have a phenomenal year, it would be an anomaly. We've got 5 seasons that says the best he can do is 872 yards. 5 seasons, and that's the best he's done. And that's not terrible. That's pretty good. But we're talking about 656 yards in 2020, 2019, 576, 2017, 731, 2016, 683. So like wide receiver 4 or 5 numbers pretty consistently. So I don't hate him. I just don't think he's going to finish top 32.
Okay. Yeah, I think Evan Ingram's being hurt helps him a lot. He also has an injury history himself. I don't think he's been too healthy the last 2 seasons.
That's also true.
So yeah, as long as he's getting the volume, I have confidence in him. So as long as Evan Ingram's out, like I'm going to start him and feel good about it.
So you think, okay, so
And
not
then the
worried about
Saquon,
Galladay, not worried about Saquon.
I'm not worried about Galladay until he proves it. Saquon got 3 targets both of his first 2 games. That should go up, and I guess that will eat into it a bit, like a little bit.
Yeah. Not drastically, but they're also going to scheme differently. I would imagine you're going to give the ball to your star running back, right?
Right.
That's what I think. So I expect he's a guy that I think we're talking about later. So I'll save it for later.
Yeah, we are talking about later.
Cool.
All right. Let's get on to Rondell Moore, wide receiver 17 right now.
Ooh, this is an interesting one, and
Yeah.
I think Rondell Moore was my off-season wide receiver 7 of rookies. So I had Jamar Chase, Terrace Marshall, Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman, Jalen Waddle, then either Devontae Smith or Rondell Moore. So he was either 6 or 7 for me. So I've been
Okay.
pleasantly shocked by how well he's doing. I expected AJ Green to actually have a kind of not a breakout year, obviously, but a recovery year. I thought he was going to be more productive than he's been. And DeAndre expected to just lead the targets there. I'm not a super big fan of the running backs there. So I guess just the way they're forcing targets to Rondell and like scheming him is really promising. And
Right.
that's what I like to see because he's a big yak guy. I watched him dominate my Titans with. And this guy is making NFL players look like like they're in the back. Just he's really quick, and I've been super impressed to have him in one league, and I'm trying to sell him just to see what I can get, but I'm not selling him unless I get a really good offer because he looks really impressive, and for a rookie to look that impressive this early and the team's feeding him, that's really promising.
Are you looking for a first round pick right now?
Yeah, at least I would say at least a first round pick.
Okay, that's a lot of confidence. Yeah, he was my actual wide receiver 8. Um, yeah, so I liked him. I made jokes in the offseason about how short he is and how short Kyler Murray is.
Yeah,
Like,
you did.
how is Kyler Murray gonna pass to Rondell Moore over 6'5" lineman? Like, so I do
Just
want
gonna
to share.
pass around. That's what he did. That's what he's been doing, passing around him in the flats. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
they
though.
just both scamper around. They take 5 steps by the time everyone else takes one with their short legs. Yeah, so here's a stat I want to give you out here. So this was brought to my attention by Matthew Friedman. Um, this is actually a tweet that he made out, and I was all about it, about Amon-Ra St. Brown. Doesn't apply to Amon-Ra St. Brown, though, anymore. But players that produce as a true freshman, 3 years out of high school, so they're early declare, and will go, like projected, in rounds 2 through 3. These receivers since 2010 are as followed. It's Christian Kirk, Juju Smith-Schuster, Tyler Boyd, Marquise Lee, Dante Moncrief, Jay Hunter, I can't remember the first name, Robert Woods, Keenan Allen, Alshon Jeffrey, Muhammad Sanu, and Randall Cobb. Now that's a pretty good list of elite players
It's a
right there, right?
wild list too, because some of those are
Yeah.
just studs and some are just like eh.
Yeah, Marquise Lee didn't really quite make it. Dante Moncrief had like one good year.
Yeah.
Now to add to that list though, Rondell Moore is the only player out of this draft that fits that criteria. So he is added to that list. So
Yeah.
that's elite company right there.
I won't argue against it. I like Rondell. I think he's a guy that you're probably not gonna be able to get now because you're gonna have to overpay to get him. I don't think you should be selling him if you own him. He's just a hold and see what happens because he looks promising. Very very impressed with him.
Yeah, he looks great. He's got 8 targets this last game, 5 the first game. So as a rookie, he's coming out with 13 targets between 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be a great 18 game career if he keeps up that rate.
Especially with that yak, he's looking like a yak monster.
Yeah, absolutely. We love Yak Monsters.
Yes, we do.
You ready to move on?
Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry, real quick. You think Rondell Moore is going to keep up this production? You think he's going to keep his wide receiver 2 status?
That's tough. I don't think he's keeping wide receiver 2, but I also don't think it's out of the of the guys we've talked about. I think he has the most realistic chance of sustaining that because when you excel in in your first 2 games, that looks really good, especially as a rookie. So like Jamar Chase, Rondell Moore, they both look very very promising.
Right.
He could sustain it. I don't think he will. I think he's like closer to wide receiver 3, which is still really good for a rookie. But yeah, I don't think 17 is sustainable. What about you?
Yeah, I'm saying he's going to drop down the rankings for me, but he's definitely intriguing. You can definitely plug him into your flex all year long now. You feel confident about it, and yeah, I mean he gets Jacksonville next week, so
yeah,
like, why not?
I guess I would leave with this final statement. you're holding, and he has immense upside. We're talking very high upside. So take it for what it is.
All right, let's go on to the next topic here. We got Winstead and the Saints.
You love those damn puns.
I'm gonna go off with this. I'm gonna start with this first. They look
Sure.
terrible. They look absolutely terrible. Now, I also want to say that they played Carolina, right? Of course they did. I just watched the game like right before this. Carolina's defense looks great. They look actually great. And I'm picking them up in our league, so don't put any fab in because you're not going to get them, Jake.
Nah, I got Denver. I'm good there.
Yeah, don't worry about it. So yeah. Anyway, I think Winston got. Sorry, I'm like fumbling with my words. I don't know the thing about Winston right now. I'm not really too confident. The wide receiver core is weak. I said that would play a role into it. The Saints get the Patriots next, and the Patriots have a great defense with a defensive-minded coach. So I think he's going to get crushed next year, dude. As a Patriots fan, I think that. But
Yeah, I
I
know.
also believe.
So I'm kind of on the fence about it. It's week one, he looked really good, but this is Jameis Winston we're talking about, and Jameis Winston has a history of doing this. So again, I love sample sizes, and whenever a guy has been consistently streaky throughout his career, probably a good indication he's going to continue to be streaky when he does that on his new team. I think certain situations allow for players to excel. And so whenever we look at players who move into new situations or new offenses, I think you say, okay, well, let's see what happens before you make a judgment call. But whenever that player starts repeating history, I feel like we're safe to make the same assumption that we've made in the past. And I was pretty high on Winston. And I'm not terribly low on him. Like, I'm not going to just shift gears completely over 1 week, but it did not look good, and he's done that in the past. So I'm not selling him low in a super flex league. I don't do any selling low period. It's always a buy low or sell high for me. So I'm holding, and I'm going to see what happens. But I'm not giving up on him. That's certainly sure.
Are you worried about Alvin Kamara here?
No, Alvin Kamara is a guy that if somebody's wanting to sell low, I will absolutely buy.
Okay, all right.
Good question.
I'm worried about him.
I don't worry about studs after 2 weeks of football. 2 weeks.
Okay. I mean, I'm not selling, but yeah, I don't know what I'm doing with him. I'm not selling him, so I guess I'm not worried about him. All right, we're going on to KJ Osborne.
This has been a fun one. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. Okay, so I looked back at his college tape here. I also looked back at my rankings from two rookie drafts ago. He was my rookie wide receiver at 37.
Ooh, yeah.
So he was deep. I watched his tape. I thought he had great hands. I thought he actually more ran like a running back than a wide receiver. Like, he's not making cuts. He's going to the open space, got that great vision, and just kind of bulldozing his way with power if you can. But I thought his hands were great. The ball was thrown behind him a lot when he was in Miami, and he always made great adjustments to his body mid-air and got vertical and caught the ball. Now, also watching his tape, he was very good at being a kick returner and a punt returner. And I imagine being drafted in the 5th round, that was his design role, was to take that pressure off of Adam Thielen, who's getting up there in age. And so I think that's why they drafted him. Now, the whole all-season word was who's going to be the wide receiver 3 there. We were talking about Amir Smith-Marset. I think Chad Beebe might have been brought up. I'm not sure, but I am now on the train that KJ Osborne is the wide receiver 3 for the Vikings.
So I'm a big fan of KJ Osborne, partly because I had picked him up in a 32-man league as my wide receiver 4 or 5, and I was like, this guy looks really good. Looks like he's going to beat out Emar Smith-Marset, and just kind of a flyer, right? Low risk, high reward. Bottom, and then in week 1 he had 9 targets. So, wow, that's really good. And it looked like they were now switching personnel to, I can't remember if it's 11 or 12 that they had, to 21, which is now running 3 wide receiver sets with Irv Smith out. So KJ's running primarily out of the slot, and he's getting a lot of targets. In that league, I actually sold high on him because that's what I do. But it looks, well, I mean, not really, because he looks good. I sold under the impression that he may decline, but it wasn't a bad trade regardless. So I got basically his worth.
You did that same trade last year. You sold high. on Stephon Diggs.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't really selling high. I was getting good value in return. That's why I did that.
Okay, so you think
I
so?
don't. I didn't know. I was high on Stefan Diggs before anybody was. You should know that.
I was high too. For everyone
So
listening, I traded Jake week 2. This week, I traded Jake, Devontae Parker, a first, and a future third and fourth for Stephon Diggs in a single
wasn't that
QB league.
the first overall pick?
The 103.
103.
Over.
So and I ended
Yeah,
up trading it. That was after Devontae Parker was looking like he was going to be nice. Stefan already knew it was nice, but I thought it was worth it. I'd say
yeah,
you won that one. Good trade.
yeah. Well, the 1-3 turned out to be, I think, Travis Etienne actually.
Well, I
So
wouldn't have picked him. That wouldn't have been my pick, but
probably Chase or Pitts would have been your pick. Anyway, whatever. I think it's still a fair trade actually.
yeah, it wasn't terrible for sure. KJ Osborne though, he's a guy. I don't know where he's ranked currently, but it's high. It's top 25. I'm pulling it up.
I believe it's 17. That's what's off the top of my head. I do want to say this though, talking about his rankings. He is so he operates out the slot. Anyway, he's number 10 in the league right now for routes run at 46 routes run, and he's number 8 for the slot. So he took over the slot share pretty much for
Yeah.
the Vikings. And Adam Thielen is getting up there with age. He looks good right now. But if Adam Thielen were to go down this year, which is definitely in the cards, KJ Osborne might really actually step up and just continue to look good.
That's something I was thinking about. So, especially in Dynasty, guys, we're talking about Thielen's what, 31? He's old.
Yes, I'll do this, right? I'll check it out.
And I don't know how many years he's going to have left. And then Justin Jefferson's obviously a stud. He's not going anywhere. But KJ Osborne has a real opportunity to step into a wide receiver 2 role in the very near future. So in Dynasty, I mean, hell, I have him on our team. I'm not planning on moving him. I'm just going to sit on him. That's all upside anyway, so I can afford to do that. That's why pretty much any old guy who's producing, you guys can have him. It doesn't work for me, unfortunately.
I'll trade you Will Fuller for KJ Osborne right now.
That's actually tempting. We'll talk about that.
No, just do it right now. Do it on air. Do it for the fans.
Nah, I'll do some thinking.
Do it for the fans.
Do it for the people.
Give the people what they want.
I am definitely interested in that, though, so we'll discuss it. But
all right.
Yeah, KJ Osborne's a guy I like, though. So he's not going to – I don't think he's going to sustain wide receiver 19. Justin Jefferson's actually getting outperformed by KJ and Adam Thielen. That's not going to continue. But KJ's probably going to have a relevant year. I'd say wide receiver 3 is totally – no, we'll say wide receiver 4. Wide receiver 4, I'd say, is totally reasonable. So we're talking top 48.
Yeah. Just to go off this too, the Vikings, their defense, they got a lot of old vets on, and we talked about them last week, and we talked about how they're still washed, and I still believe that that defense is washed. I do think they're going to force to throw more than they usually do, because last year's trends was more like it's a run-first offense. We've always thought that Dalvin Cook, and then somewhere like halfway through the middle there, once the eruption of Justin Jefferson, they started passing a lot more, and I think that's how they're going to operate from now on. So I do think the Vikings are going to pass more. So if you're here listening for Superflex, I am absolutely buying Kirk Cousins. I've always been on Kirk Cousins. He was my quarterback 12, and I think he's going to stick around the late QB1 area for the rest of the year.
We've gone back and forth on him a couple times. I think you just have him about 4 or 5 spots higher than I do. But yeah, he does look good. I would totally agree with that, especially if they're starting to move towards a pass-heavy offense. That would bode really well. Quarterbacks can play in this league for a long time.
Right. All right, ready to move on?
Yes, sir.
All right, Saquon Barkley. So slow week 1, just like we said. Definitely got worked in more week 2. See a buy low, sell high. What are your thoughts about him right now?
I am probably going to send an offer out for him in every single league besides ours. Money leagues. I'm in way too many leagues. I'll focus on my money leagues now. But, yeah, I'll definitely be trying to acquire. I've been doing I have Cortland Sutton in a few leagues. Cortland Sutton's coming off a massive game. So I've tried to trade Cortland for Saquon a couple times. It's definitely a little bit of a reach. But, all it takes is one guy. Somebody today, let me go see who it was. This is, I want to give somebody a shout out.
Okay. While you're trying to find that, though, I just want to say his snap count week 1 was 48%, and his snap count week 2 is 84%. So, not to give you 2 things to do at once, but I'm also wondering from you if you consider Saquon back since he had that 84% snap count.
No. I would consider him back. So even though he's playing those snaps, that doesn't mean they're feeding him yet, right? And so
Right.
that was the whole point. I put a tweet out earlier and I said this is the last week to buy Saquon Barkley. I believe that. I believe he's going to get fed next week. He looked good. He showed the burst that we all love and see. There were some plays he was making some jump cuts, and I was like, okay, that's what I wanted to see. Now that I've seen the tape, looks like he's starting to trust his knee. Hopefully, it holds up. But yeah, I think he's going to be solid. I think he's going to be. I don't think you're going to be able to get him for as cheap as you can right now ever again. It was Ivan Salzar. He actually said, so I mentioned trying to trade Cortland Sutton for Saquon, and this is an example of somebody who's panicking. Ivan said somebody in his league traded Chris Carson for him. And I'm like, wow. I'm not a big Chris Carson fan. I don't know how you feel about that, but I would take that trade all day.
I like Chris Carson, but not enough to trade away Saquon for him in a dynasty format.
Exactly.
Even redraft, I don't think I would at this point because now I'm feeling good about him.
Nope. You already suffered through 2 weeks of Saquon. Now you're going to get the good Saquon, so definitely not.
Right. And he plays Atlanta this week too, so. He's only 24 years old. He's the oldest 24-year-old in the league, though. I swear he is.
It feels like it, doesn't it?
But he's got plenty of good football left in him.
Yep.
All right, let's go on to another guy who I'm not high on. We have the Zeke Elliott and the Tony Pollard split.
Mike, you can never roast me for spelling again. Elliott with 2 T's. You're done. You're done, son. It doesn't actually matter, but I have to roast you because you couldn't let it go on me. All right. So Elliott bounced back this week. I think he finished as running back 8. But what's significant about that, Mike? Do you know?
He split carries. This is a committee now.
But what's more significant about it than that?
I couldn't tell you.
I want to pull up the stat and make sure. Give me 2 seconds.
No problem. I'll keep talking about how much I don't like Elliott then. Tony Pollard is more explosive. He creates in the open space. Tony Pollard's excellent. If you own him, hold on to him. Actually, no, don't even hold on to him because he's probably not going to get the workhorse load. So if you have Tony Pollard and you want to exploit your Zeke owner in your league, I would go ahead and do that. I'd sell him for a 2nd-round pick right now. Maybe get like a 23 second because that's a pretty deep class. Actually, this is a deep class too, but we'll talk about that later. But if you had Tony Pollard, I would sell. He looks great, but like I don't know if you can count on him on a week-to-week basis.
They love Zeke still, but so I did verify the stat. We're good to go. RB9, Ezekiel Elliott. RB3, Tony Pollard. So even though Zeke had a good bounce back week, he was outperformed by the running back on his own team for the 2nd straight week. He did not look like the best running back. Now, Zeke definitely looks like a better fullback, if that's what you want to switch him to, but he doesn't look like the best running back. I told you guys last week he's a guy that I'm actually concerned with. His snap share was really high, but his production's not. And this isn't just a 2-week thing. Again, we're dating this back to last year. Pollard looked better than Elliott last year. So I would sell Elliott if you can get decent value. I don't know that I want to acquire any Tony Pollard either. I just think that's a messy backfield. And here's the thing. That offense can air the dang ball out. And so it could be literally 1 week that Tony Pollard and Elliott get a combined 25 touches. That's not great because you're going to throw the ball 50 times in some games. So I just stay away from this backfield. I would be selling Zeke personally. Hold Pollard maybe. I don't know. Try and sell high. What do you think?
Yeah, no, definitely sell Zeke for what you can. Hopefully get one of these running backs from last year's class if you could. Maybe Javonte Williams. But his next game is going to be Philadelphia, and the next game after that is Carolina. Those are both emerging defenses that look legit. And he has a rough schedule like all the way through the whole year. He plays New England. He plays Denver. His playoff schedule is the Saints, Washington, the Giants, and then Washington again. Like these are all in Arizona at week 17. Like these are all legit defenses now. And so yeah, I don't think Zeke is going to be top 5 anymore in the league. I think that's done. He's 26 years old.
Hell no, yeah.
So I'm not really sure he's going to keep it up. So I'm done, or not done, but I'm looking to leave.
I think we're good on this topic.
All right, let's go on to AJB.
That's a guy I actually bought last week.
I did an acronym here, so I couldn't spell it wrong.
Hey, perfect. What if you put jab or something?
Yeah.
That's all right. AJB. Man, I love AJB. You know that. Here's the thing, though. So I watch. You guys can't see for anybody just listening to audio, but I'm a big Titans fan. There's some Titans memorabilia behind me. So a lot of the stuff I do or say, you may think is biased, and that's understandable. But I try and do everything from a data-driven standpoint. I don't own. I have one share of Julio because I don't expect Julio to be what he has been in the past. He looks really good, but AJB, Tannehill already have that connection. Same offense returning with an improved AJB, healthy Taylor Lewan. It's just the Titans' offense is an offense that if you can acquire Tanny, AJB, or Derrick Henry, you should because those guys are going to be just fine. A lot of people are concerned with Tannehill, but here's a stat worth mentioning. AJ Brown dropped two balls last game. One of those was like a 25-yard pass where he's dashing across the middle of the field, a lot of open field in front of him. Probably got excited, dropped it. I don't remember where the other drop was at, but the point is AJB's a yak monster, so he makes those two catches. We're talking about another 50 to 60 yards for both him and Tannehill. So you need to hold on to those guys. There's no point in panicking. We looked like a good offense last year. The Titans looked like a good offense this last week. You don't need to panic on them. Their offensive line got it together. They just beat the Seahawks. That's a good team. If you can get AJB cheap, definitely do it. I definitely trade it, especially in Dynasty, guys. We're talking about a shelf life of 10 years for wide receivers. If you can get AJB for a first, that's a dang steal. But let's see what Mike says with an unbiased opinion.
No, I'm a big fan of AJB. That's a talent thing. I haven't watched Titan games like you watched them. I mean, I watched them, but you're like really watching them. You know, you're in depth. You're watching every play. I'm just upset about Ryan Tannehill. My best dynasty roster, Jake. I just have to put it out here. The quarterback's Ryan Tannehill. My running backs are Dalvin Cook and CEH, and then my receivers are Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson, and then Chris Godwin. And my tight end is Mark Andrews. I am 0-2 in that week.
But here's the thing, man. 0-2. We're talking about, okay, so 2 divided by 17 is what? Fucking, excuse my language, what, 15%? We're talking about 15% of the season here, bro. That is nothing. You got to stay patient. Your studs are going to be studs. Tannehill's going to be fine. With the Bucks offense, you're going to have AB week 1 going off, Mike Evans in week 2, Chris Godwin maybe at next week. Who knows? Like, you just never know what to expect. So that's pretty much all I had to say. I'm done with AJB. I'm buying them. Don't sell them. Don't sell AJB.
Just on a passing comment, I think Chris Godwin's the best Bucks wide receiver, and I don't think he has a bad week. And the other guys, though, they'll rotate back and forth, but it's Chris Godwin for me over there.
Fair enough.
All right, let's go. Let's talk about Justin Fields and Allen Robinson.
Spelled correctly, too. That's what we like to see.
Thank you, yeah.
I know that Justin Fields hit Allen Robinson on a deep ball in the end zone, and Allen Robinson dropped it. Drops aren't going to continue to happen. Allen Robinson has as many as AJB right now. It's just not going to keep happening, guys. We're talking about week 2 of the NFL. I'm ready to see Justin Fields full time. Andy Dalton got injured that game. Justin Fields came in, played a little bit. Do you know the status for week 3 of Justin Fields and Andy Dalton?
They didn't announce it yet, but it's definitely turning that Andy Dalton's going to be out.
Really?
Yeah. So, and Justin Fields played 65% of the snaps, and his stat line for 65% of the snaps is not impressive. I'm not like excited about it. I do understand he got that big drop. He also had 10 rushes for 31 yards. I'm just saying, Jalen Hurts with 10 rushes would get 80 yards. So
I love it. Look who's coming around on Hurts.
Yeah, I thought I'd see a little more upside from his running. I mean, he ran like a 4.4 too during his. Like, I feel like, I don't know, rookie jitters, whatever. I'm not saying to sell him. I'm just a little disappointed, hoping that he start out hot. But so
Allen Robinson's gonna be fine. Justin Fields, I have him in Scott Fishbowl, so you know he's gonna be a stud. That's right. My Scott Fishbowl team is terrible, by the way.
I was actually the 48th highest scoring team this week.
Nice. Yeah, I have Justin Fields and Andy Dalton, so I don't know who I'm starting. Then I have Joe Burrow. Then we have Trey Sermon, Rojo, Antonio Gibson, Stephen Diggs, Curtis Samuel, Deontay Johnson, Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, Terrace Marshall. Can't put together a solid week. Travis Kelsey just getting beat. But besides the point, we can move on.
Okay. All right. Also, Justin Fields' first game, if he does get the start, is going to be against Cleveland. So I'm not really too excited about that one.
Yeah, they have a good D there.
Let's talk about CEH, or as the fancy footballers call him, MEH for meh.
I haven't seen that, but I love that.
That's pretty good.
You and I both are not high on CEH. You sold him this offseason and acquired DeAndre Swift. Good for you. Love that for you.
Yeah, me too.
I got, it's always funny when you have a solid tweet and the interactions that you get. I think I made a very simple tweet. It's always the most simple tweets that get the most interaction. I could go dig for hours and hours of data and share that information. It's so useful and get 3 likes. Then have a few drinks one night and I'm like, I can't believe this is discussion. By the way, DeAndre Swift is greater than CEH. 400 likes and 56 comments. Wow, why do you feel this way about CEH? He's behind an incredible offensive line. I'm like, dude was so inefficient in year one. It's a pass-first offense, and he's not the second best option. He's the third best option on that offense. So it's not a situation you want. If you can get decent value, you need to sell him. He is not a guy he's just meh. That was a great analogy. He's meh.
Right. He is a back end RB2, high end RB3 for me the rest of his career.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then speaking of their O line, their rookies are actually kicking ass right now. Ooh.
Yeah. No, that's all good.
Anyway, their O line, their rookies are doing great. Yeah. Let's move on. Let's move on to taunting pass. You want to start us off?
Yeah. I have a biased opinion here, and I will openly say that. You don't taunt my boys, my Tennessee Titans, and get away with it. So, I mean, we came back and won in overtime, and there was a crucial play where they got a taunting penalty against us, and definitely could have impacted the game. But again, it is stupid. Like I'm grateful for it last week, but it's such a stupid rule. Like, we're talking about competition. We're talking about the greatest competitors that have ever played the game, and they're going out there to compete and win. And whenever you're a top receiver going against a top cornerback, and the cornerback shuts you down, you're not allowed to get excited because they're John. This guy's John the whole game. And whenever you shut him down, I think, oh, yeah, how you like that? Like, look at what I did, And you can get excited. You should be able to. It's crazy to me that this is a thing right now. Like, I guess I get it to the extent of, like, it's preventing, like, fights maybe. Like, enough taunting occurs and someone gets fed up and they're ready to throw a punch. And maybe that's the reason they're trying to prevent that buildup. But they're all jawing and talking anyway, so I don't know. Excuse me.
Yeah, I don't like it because it's a part of the game. It's a part of the show. I think they're like talking about like good sportsmanship like for the younger viewers, but as an older viewer that's over the age of like 12, I want it like that's part of the game. I want to feel good. I want to see my boy Jacoby Myers like flex over the defender while he makes a good catch. You know what I'm saying? That's my guy. I want to get hyped up for my team. I just think that's part of the game. They need to let it go. Let the boys play. Let the boys play.
Love it. Sundays are for the boys now, right?
Yeah. All right, let's get on to the Atlanta backfield here. Yeah, it is gross. Okay, so let's just. Cordell Patterson got 2 touchdowns this past weekend. I'm not really sure if I want to say he looked good doing it, but he saw 6 targets out of the backfield, 5 catches, and a touchdown. Mike Davis hasn't done anything yet so far. He definitely trailed off the end of last year. Jake, if you had to own one of these guys, who would it be?
Yeah. Biased me would say the guy that I own shares of, which is Mike Davis. I think I have 2. I have him in 2 of 12 leagues, but he doesn't look good. And Cordell might be the guy. I saw a hilarious tweet earlier, and I love shouting people out, but I don't know who tweeted, so I'm trying to look it up. Arthur Smith, coach.
Okay, well, I just want to say I'm still holding out for Wayne Gallman. I'm waiting one more week that Wayne Gallman does not touch this field and show me a little something, a little flash. I'm throwing away Wayne Gallman here. So I'm one of the guys still holding on to Wayne Gallman because I don't think this backfield has any talent. And I think Wayne Gallman is the most talented out of this ambiguous backfield that we like. But,
you like Wayne Gallman more than Mike Davis and Cordell Patterson?
Yeah, but I would definitely say that Cordell Patterson is ahead of Mike Davis for me right now. Like that's
Okay.
so,
Anyways, the tweet was, if Arthur Smith's able to unlock Cordero Patterson, he deserves Coach of the Year. I was like, well, fair. This is supposed to be a gadget player, can be a stud, and it's just not. Talking about like
right.
what a 6-year breakout here if that happens.
He got signed late. He's way older than that. He was drafted as a first round wide receiver.
Yeah, I remember he was supposed to be a stud.
So yeah. All right. So I'm good here.
I just don't want any part. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
Cordero, maybe.
No, if you can sell Mike Davis, you should. I don't know, like a second, maybe a late second from a contender. I don't know.
I
All
think a
right.
late second.
Absolutely.
Patriot pass catchers. You take this
Yes.
one away.
Okay, so as a Patriots fan, love watching Mac Jones. I was asked by one of my favorite film watchers named Nick Whalen um, if I was like happy with Mac Jones' play so far, and I am. Mac Jones is being conservative. He's protecting the ball. He's being smart. He operates in the pocket well, but it's all short passes. As Jake pointed out to me earlier, they're like the ADOT's like 3 yards.
Something
Um,
silly, yeah.
yeah, I'm okay with that. It's a rookie year, especially when I look at the other rookies. I'm fine with Mac Jones building his confidence up, and then I can expect more later on down the line when he gets better at reading defenses and feeling more confident about placing the ball and stuff like that.
It's 6.2 through 2 weeks. I think week 2 it was lower. Week 1 was probably a little bit higher. So he's at
Okay.
6.2, which is 28th of I guess 34 qualifying. However many quarterbacks we've had play so far, maybe 36.
Okay. Yeah. So as far as the pass catchers go, we talked about Jacoby and Nelson Aguilar, I think, last week. I am now shifting to that I'm going to sell those guys if I can. Not that I don't believe in them. It's just that I don't think they're going to be fancy assets for this year. And I'm worried about the Patriots maybe adding more talent in the rookie draft next year. So if I can snag again a second for Jacoby, he's young, he's got upside, he's got a little bit of the hype train from preseason. So if I could sell Jacoby for a second, I'm doing it right now. Yeah. So anything to say on that, Jake?
I still like Hunter Henry. I like Johnny Smith, especially with these depth of target stuff. I don't. Did Aguilar do anything this past week? I don't know.
No, neither one of them really did much.
Okay. Well, they did not look good.
Yeah, I think it was Jacoby was 6 for 38, something silly like that.
I'm still a fan of John. I'm still a fan of Hunter. But when I say a fan, it's just we're probably pushing into the tight end 2 area, maybe low end tight end 1.
Yeah, he just spreads it around so evenly that it's great for the NFL. He's going to be a great NFL type of quarterback. But as far as fantasy goes, I'm not too interested.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't want to get crazy with that statement. We're only two games into sample size, but
right.
But we'll see. I've been high on Max Jones, so I don't want to backtrack just yet.
Okay. All right. Our last topic here, we'll just go real quick over. We just talked about Mac Jones, but the other rookie quarterback production and just how they've done this year so far. I am very unimpressed. Are you the same?
Yeah, no, I haven't been impressed. There's a stat I wanted to pull up, dude. I wish I would forget. I just process these things and then move on. But it was something like Jimmy G's efficiency. It was 28th, and I'm like, it's got to be getting close to Trey Lance time, right? We got to be getting close to that. So I am excited to see Trey Lance. He didn't look great in the preseason, but hell, these other guys look great in the preseason. They're not doing much right now, so you never know. You got to give these guys a chance.
I still think Mac's looking good, man. If I had to re-rank the quarterbacks just for right now, it's Mac Jones on top. I don't know where Trey Lance is in the back. I guess Justin Fields is number 2, and then Trevor Lawrence number 3, and then Zach Wilson is number 4.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just no reaction. So for everybody listening, you got to pump the brakes too. This is just week 2, right? Zach Wilson just threw 4 picks. Bill Belichick crushes rookie quarterbacks. If you haven't really heard any of the stats the NFL gives out all the time, Bill Belichick's record for going against rookie quarterbacks is something 24-1. He just does not lose to rookie quarterbacks. He destroys them. And he destroys the Jets too. So just add those 2 together. And then Trevor Lawrence, I have no confidence in Meyer as a coach. So I hope that they can fix that for next year. But I'm hoping and praying that Trevor Lawrence kind of figures it out on his own for the bit. Mac Jones looks like he's in a good system. I'm sure he's fine. Yeah, he's going to be a very relevant quarterback probably next year. Trey Lance, I think he's got the job for the year so far. He looked slow the first like half of this past game, but Jimmy G looked great the second half.
You remember when everyone was talking about Trevor Lawrence being the Konami code? Trey Lance was a generational quarterback. Not Trey
I haven't
Lance.
heard
Trevor
anyone.
Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence,
Yes,
a
yeah.
generational quarterback. A generational quarterback who didn't lead. He didn't lead the any of his years in any statistical category. A little bit odd, right?
No picks though. His whole career, I think.
Yeah.
And I think I only lost one game. I think he led those two categories.
Well, which was the first one? I didn't hear it.
I think he had like no picks throughout college or some stupid low number, and then
No picks without what?
no picks during college, as in like he's done
No
like
zero picks. That's not
yeah.
right.
I need to look it up, bro. I'm not sure, but I know it's some stupid low number, and then
We can give him the most winningest. We can give him that, but no quarterback
okay,
stat. There was no
okay,
quarterback
all
stat.
right.
It wasn't accuracy. It wasn't quarterback rating, touchdowns, rushing yards. None of it. I just thought that was interesting. I was not a guy who thought I thought Trevor Lawrence was the best of this class. Never thought Trevor Lawrence was a generational quarterback. And me stating that on Twitter, I would get so much flack. Now here we are. Here we are. That's pretty much all I have to say, though. Anything else you'd like to touch on?
I got one announcement before we get out of here.
Ooh, let's hear
Yeah,
it.
hey, so for Friday, I'm going to get on a podcast. It's probably just going to be me, and I'm going to talk to you guys about the 2022 class. So I'm talking Devi here, not talking about anything NFL related, but the college guys that I'm keeping my eye on for this year's upcoming class. For everybody listening that's in the rebuild mode, this will be good for you. Eventually, I'll get some of the campus game guys to come back on with me too. But I'm starting to talk about college players and their draft profile. Not how they produce as a college player, but how I see them actually being productive in the NFL.
Awesome. And for those who don't know, Devi stands for development, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Awesome. So Mike's a Devi guy. Something that we I feel like mesh pretty well together as a team. He's focusing, and we'll definitely, by the way, in next off season, I will get pretty heavy into the rookies and start talking them too. But right now, I stay pretty focused on NFL. He does a lot of both. So Mike's a damn stud.
Appreciate it.
Stud.
I try.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to do it for this week. You can catch Mike on Friday. I don't know if he's going to bring a guest on. He certainly is allowed to. So we'll see what happens there. And we'll see you guys next Tuesday.
All right, adios.